Hi everyone. Short date please and learn objective. Okay. Press pause and then we'll get on with the lesson. Right. Okay. So obviously change of unit. So we're going to be looking at sort of it's a lot of algebra in this work, sort of algebra equations, and then we're using an equation something like this, and we can draw a line on a graph that represents this equation. Okay. Now I don't know how much of this you did last year, so I'm going to start at the beginning, and work our way through. It's quite tricky actually. I find this work quite tricky. So we will start at the beginning, but let's just start off with a reminder of, and I know we've done this work, where we've looked at where we've given algebraic equations to lines on a graph, haven't we? Okay, so let's look at line A here, the brown line. So we're going across there, you can see all here, just about. We're going across here. That is splitting this 2 there. This 2 is obviously on. So here we have our x-axis and our y-axis. Remember, x is always across. So it's splitting the y-axis. Okay, so y, this line, okay, because it's split in the y-axis, is y is equal to 2. And it's very important when we come to do our work today that we are labeling the lines with an algebraic equation. Okay, let's look at b. We can just about see it there. It's going down here. It's splitting the x-axis. So it'll be x equals, it is splitting the 4, x equals 4. Okay. C, here we have it. It's going down here. Okay. It's splitting the x-axis again. So we know it's going to be x equals, and here it's halfway between the -2 and -3. So it becomes minus 2.5. Okay, x equals minus 2.5. Let's have a look at D. Again, coming along here down the bottom. Again, it's splitting the y-axis, so it will be y equals, it's halfway between 4 and 5, 4.5. Remembering E, when we're going in this direction, isn't it? When we're going in this direction, when we're sort of heading to the positive numbers, this one is x. Y is equal to x. Okay, and when we're going on F, going in the opposite direction, if you can remember this, it would be y is equal to minus x. And we'll come back to these kind of positives and negatives further on in the unit. Okay, but it's just enough to just remember that for now. Okay, right. And the other thing we need to just be able to do is to do substitutions. Okay, do substitutions. So here we have an equation. So if the value of x is equal to 5, then what is y? So that is just a straight substitution, isn't it? Because then this x becomes a 5, so this becomes 3 times 5. Yeah, 15 take away 7. So y is equal to 8. Hope everyone's clear with that. Okay, we haven't done a huge amount of substitutions, but I think we've done enough. Okay, so we're just substituting the letter, okay, with its value. So it becomes 3 times 5 is 15. Take away 7. Okay, let's keep that same equation. If x was equal to 0, okay, it becomes 3 times 0 is 0 minus 7. So y is equal to minus 7, isn't it? Okay, so we're just finding out the value of y. If we had, if x was equal to minus 2, and it gets a little bit trickier when we're dealing with the negative numbers. So x is equal to minus 2, so it becomes 3 times minus 2. This part of the equation now is 3 times minus 2. Remember, a positive times a negative will give us a negative. So the answer to this part of it is minus 6. So it becomes minus 6 minus 7. Y is equal to minus 13. Okay, so we need to be really careful with those positive and negative numbers. Okay, I'm not going to spend too long on positive and negative numbers. If you're not too sure, you do need to get in touch with me and I'll give you some extra stuff to have a look at. Right, say for example we had y is equal to minus x. Say for example the value of x was equal to minus 4. What would y be equal to then? Okay. Now on this one, remember that this means we've got minus x, but x is a minus 4. So here we would have two minus signs together. Okay, two minus signs together, which would give us a positive x. So in this one, x equals, y is equal to 4 if x is equal to minus 4. Okay. So it's again, remember when you got two negative, if you've got two negatives next to each other, so if you've got 2, for example, minus 4, those minus and minuses become a plus, don't they? Okay, and again we'll do more of this as we go through. So that would be that would actually answer that one would be 6 because of minus and minus is plus. And again, if it was that, when you've got the negative and positive next to each other, remember it's a negative. Okay, so it would be 2 take away 4 minus 2. Right, and if you had y is equal to minus 4x and x was equal to minus 4. Okay, again the value of y, so what we've got here, the equation we've got is minus 4 times, actually I'm going to change that to minus 2. X is equal to minus 2, so it's minus 4 times minus 2. Okay, because you're substituting x with minus 2, because it's minus 4 times minus 2 is a positive 8, because a negative times a negative is a positive. Okay, now I know we have done this, but we did a long while ago before Christmas. Okay, a long while ago before Christmas, but just remember, if you're multiplying, a negative times a negative will always give you a positive. Okay, and then but if the signs are different, it'll always be a negative. Okay, if the signs are different, it'll always be negative, and if the signs are the same when we're multiplying, of course, it gives you a positive. Okay, when the signs are the same, you get a positive. So just bear that in mind when you're doing some of the calculations today. Okay, right, let's start off with, we need to be able to, by the end of this lesson, we got y is equal to 3x plus 2. We need to then turn that into a line on a graph. Okay, turn that into to a line on a graph. Our first step is this. Okay, our first step is to just write down our x and y. Now these represent our axes. Okay, these represent our axes. Okay, now when you come to draw yours, because I think I've left my ruler in the other room, when you come to do yours, make sure you use a ruler, please. Okay, so we're going to draw a box. Okay, okay, that'll do us there. Just do some lines down there. Oops. Okay, so what we need to work out, if for example on our x-axis is minus 2, okay, we need to work out what it is in the y-axis. Now these letters represent the axes on our graph. Okay, the axes on our graph. So if we've got a graph like this, okay, we've obviously got our y-axis, we've got our x-axis. Okay, so they represent, if I've got minus 2 here, that means it's looking minus 2 on the graph. Okay, if right, so minus 2. So now I need to find the value of y. Now here is my equation, and then I'm just going to work through my equation. So I'm going to do substitution. So if x is minus 2, what will y be? So I have to just substitute here. So it becomes 3 times minus 2, because this is what this part is here, isn't it? Add 2. So 3 times minus 2 is minus 6. And from that we add 2. Minus 6 add 2 is minus 4. Okay, so we've got minus 4. So that means y is equal to minus 4. We're basically kind of solving that equation, aren't we? Yeah. If x is minus 2. So then let's make x. So now on our graph, we now want to find out what x on the x-axis, what -1 would be. Okay. Okay, so this is our again. So we're going to substitute our x this time for -1. So we've got 3 times -1 plus 2. 3 times -1 is -3 plus 2 is 1. Okay, sorry, is -1. Apologies. -3 plus 2 is -1. Right, so oops, didn't need to rub that part out. So we've got 3x plus 2, 3x plus 2. Then we got our 0. Okay, so x on our x-axis 0. So we do 3 times 0 is 3. 3 times 0 is 0 plus 2 is 2. Okay. Then we can go 1. Okay, 3 times 1 is 3 plus 3 times 1 is 3 plus 2 is 5. And then we'll go here, our 2 along our x-axis. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 2 is 8. Okay, so from here we have worked out our x-axis and our y-axis. Now all we have to do then is plot this onto our graph. Okay, so we'll just have a go at plotting that in now. Okay, so here we have you generally speaking you'd be working with graphs that are going to be 10, positive 10, 10 minus 10 to positive 10. Okay, I've obviously gone up to 7 and down to 6 and across to 5, and it does go to 5 on the other end. So here I have my my workings, the box with all my information and with where my coordinates are. So if I go on this one, so on -2 on the x-axis, I go to -4 on the y. So I'm going to go to -2 on the x, down to -4 on the y-axis, and then mark that on. Okay, so that's my first point. Let's put a dot there, and I'll put a cross there. Right, for the next one, I go -1 on the x-axis, and that's also -1 on the y. So I go across to -1. Yep, that's my next one. Then I'm going 0 onto the x-axis, okay, and 2 onto the y. So I'm across to 0 on the x, 2 onto the y. Then I go on 1 on the x-axis, across to 1 on the x-axis, and up to 5 there. And my next one, and I haven't got enough space for it, it'd be 2 and 8, but it'd be somewhere off my board. And then with my ruler, okay, and I'm not going to do this because I'm going to use this board again. I'm going to draw that line, and that line with my ruler, okay, is the linear equation. Now, when I've done that, it's really important to remember I have to label it. So this line is y equals 3x plus 2, and that one is then labeled. Okay, and that is basically how we do them. It's one of those things, once you've kind of had a couple of goes, a couple of practices, it's not as anywhere near as confusing as it first appears. Okay, because I personally found it quite confusing when I first had a go at it. Okay, let's have a look at another one. Let's have a go at another one. So this time we've got our equation is y is equal to 4x minus 3. Okay, so again I have to think this is my x-axis, this is my y-axis. Okay, and when you come to do the work, the first ones, these are done for you. It doesn't have to start at -2 and then go to -1. It will vary, okay, but just to start off, we'll just keep them pretty much the same. Okay, so along my x-axis, I'm going to start off with -2. I say it doesn't have to start off with -2, and when you do the work, you'll see that some of them do start at different numbers. But again, I'm just now going to solve this in my equation. I can now find the value of y, because if x on my x-axis is minus 2, okay? So that will be 4 times minus 2, which will give me 8. 8 take away 3, which will give me... no, let me try that again. Sorry. Let me try that again. So I've got 4 times minus 2, which will give me minus 8. Well, it'll give me minus 8. If I do minus 8 and I take away 3, okay, it actually gives me minus 11. Okay, minus 11. Then I can go along here, let's do that one again. So now I'm going to do x. And if you want, you can just put these in advance. Okay, x is now minus 1, so there would be 4 times minus 1. 4 times minus 1, and that'll give me minus 4. I'm going to take away 3 from it, 7. Okay, what you should be getting, sorry, minus 7. What you should be getting is a pattern you can follow here. Okay, a pattern where they're equally spaced on these ones, on the linear, on the straight lined ones. They will get harder, and we will be doing curved ones as well. Okay, so have a look. Oh, so it's again 4x minus 3 is my equation. Now 0, 4 times 0 is 0. Take away 3, so that's going to be minus 3. And I can see already the difference here, isn't it? There's 4. The difference is 4 each time. So I'm just going to make sure 4 times 1 is 4. Take away 3 is 1. Yep. Then 4 times 2 is 8. 8 take away 3 is 5. So these then are my coordinates. Now, I won't be able to get that many of them on this one. Okay. I'll just put this up the top. Okay. So they're my coordinates. So again, I would go across to x minus 2. Okay. And then down. So it's going to be down outside my board on that one, isn't it? Okay. And the same with the second one. Let's have a look then on 0. We're going to cross the x-axis to 0, our origin, okay, and we're going down to 3. So this would be our first mark there. And then we're going 1 on the x-axis, will give me 1 on the y-axis, okay, which will give me there, okay, and then we've got 2 on the x-axis, would give me 5 on the y-axis. So across to 2, up to 5. So again, I would join that up. Okay, and I can extend that down. So join those up there, and it would extend down to the end of the page. Okay, and again, I would label that 4x y equals 4x minus 3, because that is the equation. Okay, right. I was planning to do another one there. So maybe very quickly, I won't do the graph side of it. Let's very quickly do one more. Okay, I think I got all ready to go. Okay, so if we've got so something like this, y equals 3x plus yeah, and again, if we're going to start off, we do our x-axis, y-axis. Let's start with minus 2. Okay, so we know, okay, minus 1, 0, 1, 2. Okay. We cut across there. When you do yours, make sure you do yours nice and neat, please. So again, 2 times minus 2 is 4. Sorry, minus 4. So it's 3 plus minus 4 is minus 1. Okay, minus 1. So we'll look at the next one. 2 times minus 1, minus 2. So 3 and minus 2. 3 take away 2, 1. Okay, if we go 0, 0 times x is 0 plus 3, 3. So we can see already there's a pattern. 1 times 2, 5. This is going to be 7. Let's just check. 2 times 4. 2 times 2 is 4, and the x 7. And again, then these would be how I would plot it on my graph. Okay. Right, let's have a go at these. Okay, let's have a go. Now, on the first of all, I don't think I asked you to do the first set of questions, did I? So could you start off, please? The first thing I'd like you to do, let's just put it on here. Could you start off with questions, I meant you to do these earlier actually, questions 1 and 2 on page, I'll tell you what, I'm not sure, I'll tell you what page, well, it's the first 2 questions on unit 10.1, okay, the first 2 questions in unit 10.1, okay, I'll make sure that's on the portal. So just do those. They're a nice little warm-up. Could you then complete this worksheet? Okay, the worksheet that I've attached to it. Okay, so draw the lines on. Remember, and you have to basically, it has the boxes for you. That sort of thing. It has the boxes for you. You have to find fill in the gaps, and then draw in the lines on. Okay, make sure you label those lines. Label each line you draw, and then we've got just an extension question there. Okay. And that'll do us for today. We'll move on quite quickly then from here. But I think this is work that you may have done in year 7, but it's not going to do us any harm in going over it, okay? Right, good luck with that. Okay, bye.